amazing speech. This next guy up is he's a writer and a poet, absolutely amazing guy. He's here today to talk about his experiences as a refugee. Please welcome Kaveh Akbari.
Hi, thank you for being here. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this land upon which I stand. Before I begin this body of speech, I'd like to say that I only speak on behalf of the stateless human beings seeking asylum, those who suffer every day in or outside of detention centres, who are prohibited from speaking up here. They do not have the rights to speak in a democratic country. Those who face social isolation without an income, nor the right to education or employment. They're always anxious and uncertain. They have no routine or no order in their lives. These are things that they tell me. I have friends. No activity or recreation, and are faced with a system that's disinterested in them as human beings, but rather only as illegal aliens. I've been given the chance to represent them. Yet I would like to acknowledge that my limited time here cannot bring to voice even a fraction of their difficulty. My words do not suffice in delivering their struggle. Please support these human beings seeking asylum by speaking out at every chance you are given. Dear not so honourable Mr. Abbott, before I begin, I speak to you with acknowledgement that you're only the latest field runner in a continuing 13-year campaign, Liberal and Labour alike, of systematically diminishing the value of human lives. Globally, you've been labelled Australia's worst Prime Minister with just a little over 6 months in office. I speak to you within this stroke. Dear not so honourable Mr. Abbott, sir, whether through Howard's prosperous years or the Kevin 07 change which never came, the Julia Gillard government drowned by the chauvinism which still exists beneath the political correctness of this political arena, or the sexism revived on the surface of your words over the course of these years, your state has dehumanized human beings with crossbench politics, corporate-funded right-wing radio shock jocks, media outlets dubbed as neoliberal mouthpieces, spinning state rhetoric and fear-mongering. White Australia was abolished so long ago, but you're still othering, trying so hard to create a constantly anxious world within Australia, a place we call home. Dear not so honourable Mr. Abbott, sir, I'm a refugee. I live in a suburb where you spend your Sundays at a local deli. I've seen you there exercising your right, having breakfast with your family, while you spend Monday to Friday reducing other people's humanity to sound bites and buzzwords like transferees and clients and illegal cases. You frame them as threats to our society. Dear Mr. Abbott, I'm a refugee, sir. I teach 10 hours a day and study for 4 because I feel an obligation as an Australian to the people of this nation. So maybe what you mean is that I'm a threat to your indecency, and I'm not. And I'm not looking for empathy. I just want to bring to your attention your duty as a leader of this nation, collector of our tax dollars, wasted not one refugee process, yet one asylum seeker dead. You are breaking international laws as signatory to the United Nations Human Rights Convention. Signatory to the United Nations Refugee Convention. Signatory to the United Nations Refugee Convention as a part of a global connected humanity, obliged by a global moral obligation. At least take responsibility.
if not as an active participant in this international community, which bleeds 5.5 million displaced children from only one Western-backed mutiny, then at least as a leader, take responsibility for the actions of your government. Remember the coalition of the willing when you assess Iraqi and Afghani asylum seekers. Remember your support for decades of sanction when you assess Iranian refugees. Remember your US alliances when you assess drone escapees, when you assess Libyans, Syrians, Egyptians. Remember history, sir. Remember history, sir. Remember history, sir. Remember decades of Western-funded paramilitary insurgency. Dear not so honourable Mr. Abbott, sir, I speak with you as an Australian citizen and a refugee, a child escaping 7 years of war, a child separated from family, a child of a past revolution. I speak to you as a child who spent years stateless without schooling, healthcare, sometimes a roof or food to eat, a child who arrived here against your odds and your obstacles and reclaimed his identity. And we're not looking for sympathy. And we're not looking for sympathy. We just don't like being called threats to society. When you sit on a privileged seat and teach hate and segregation, separation and othering, yet we, your so-called threats, appreciate this land with integrity and practice hope and prosperity from within your chokehold. Dear not so honourable Mr. Abbott, sir, I'm here to call you an Australian and reclaim my identity as both a proud Australian and a proud refugee. Thank you.